Hi, and welcome to Painting with Karen. Today we are doing a black gesso painting, which is really my favorite way of doing paintings because it gives your paintings a lot of depth. And with this painting, here's our palette, and it is a really beautiful purple sky, as you saw at the beginning. And so we're going to begin. I'm beginning with a black gesso canvas. I put the black gesso on with a paper towel, and you should watch my video with instructions on how to do the gesso. And we're going to start with our 1-inch brush, and we're going to start with the corners. We're going to do Prussian blue in the corners, which is always my favorite thing to do, which is a dark blue in the corners. Our canvas has liquid clear on it, and liquid clear makes it easier to paint on this canvas with oil paints because it makes our surface slippery. So I'm just going to put some dark blue on the corners, and next we're going to mix ourselves a little bit of purple. Now purple is alizarin crimson and Prussian blue. So I'm going to get Prussian blue. I'm going to get Prussian blue right here. I'm sorry, the alizarin crimson, sorry about that. And then I'm just going to take a little bit of the Prussian blue because Prussian blue always wins. Prussian blue is a very, very, very dark blue. So we're going to mix. The way we mix these paints, because they're so hard, is you scrape them off and you lay them down, scrape them off, lay them down, scrape them off, lay them down. You can mix them like this as well. I like to just scrape off, lay down, scrape off, lay down. Okay, so you're going to get a purple. Now, if you want to see what shade of purple it is, you're going to just mix a little bit of white with it. And so that's the shade of purple that it's going to be. And I really like that purple, so I think it's really pretty. So we're going to do our sky with that. So I have the purple on my brush, and it's sky. So with sky, I suggest that you do little circles, always little circles. Doing little circles here. This painting is the dawn. So what we want to do is we want to leave this area as light as possible because we're going to put some white on it. On the bottom. And we're going to fill that in. I don't like to clean my brushes very much during my painting process. I just wipe them down and kind of blend with them. So I really scrub my brushes on a towel, and if I don't have them clean enough, I'll just get another brush. But I don't like to use paint thinner while I paint because I don't really like the smell of it, and I have asthma, so I just don't like the smell of it. Okay, knife is clean. It's fairly clean. So I'm going to get one of my whites. I like to have 3 things of white on my palette because they get dirty so quickly. So I'm just going to do the white right here. It's a little bit purple. Then I'm going to wipe it again and do a little bit more white. And you can still see a few of the little trees through the white. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix a little bit of yellow and white. I have a little bit of this white here. I'm going to put it right here. And just a little bit of the yellow. Not much. I just want kind of a creamy, kind of a little butter color in a way. Not much. And it's going to mix with the white on my brush anyway. So just kind of a little bit of a light butter color. And it's not a lot of it. Put it on my brush. So what you really want to do is just, everything is going to blend together. Now you can keep using this brush. What I like to do is I like to use the big brush, which is like your blender brush. And then we're going to blend everything a little bit right here. And it's just like a little, their little round stroke. See, and it just tones down the blue. And just imagine that it's the light is coming from the back and the fog is lifting from the morning. And I really like to scrub my brushes in between this so that my colors don't get too blended. All right, we'll just blend this a little bit to the bottom as well. Okay, so all right, we could work at this forever, but that's going to be the background for our painting. What we're going to do is we're going to put some water in, and we're going to put a little waterfall. And I like to put the waterfall first because that's where everything kind of builds around that waterfall and the water, and then the trees are going to go on top of that. So if you're standing here and you're amongst the trees and you're looking at this little waterfall, I'm going to use my fan brush for this, and I'm just going to drop it right here. So you always want to really load it. And I like a white waterfall. Sometimes people like to put blue in it, and that's fine, but I like a white waterfall. So you got your fan brush loaded, and it's where you're going to put it. So I'm going to put it, I don't like things that are right in the middle of my canvas because I think that the sides and the are more interesting. So I'm just going to drop my waterfall right here. There it is. So it's just floating there. And then I'm going to take my filbert. And I'm going to mix a little bit of this white here with just a very, 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 very small touch of the blue. See how big see how that Prussian blue is? And see, that's too dark. So I'm going to take a little bit of this that's too dark, put it over here, and mix it with a little bit of white, and we're going to make it even lighter. So now I've got 2 shades of blue, which is good because water is different colors, right? So I'm going to put my water right here. And the water, always do these horizontal lines with it. Now, if you want, you can put another waterfall. I'm quite happy with just one, but if you want, you can put a whole bunch of them. And then I'm going to take my lighter one. See how water is always there. And we're going to come back to this water, but I just wanted to lay it down first. Now, what we need to do is we're going to build some land around it, and we're going to put some rocks in right here because the waterfall is going over something. It's not just by itself. So we're going to put some rocks in here and maybe some around here. We're going to build rocks, we're going to layer them. But first thing we're going to do is we're going to clean our palette because we don't need this purple anymore. So we're finished with this purple. We're going to put it over here in the corner. And if you keep your palette clean, keep your palette clean, it just makes it way easier to work. So we're going to layer and we're going to make rocks. So the best way that I know how to do this, which is a great trick that I was taught, is you're going to take some Van Dyke Brown, you're going to take some dark sienna, you're going to take some white, I have some white here, and you're kind of making like a cake here. So you're icing a cake, and so it looks weird, right? But when you cut into that, if you see, you've got kind of a mix of all the colors. So we're going to lay some rocks, and I'm going to lay my rocks with this. There's some rocks. I'm going to do some rocks over here. And this rock here goes above the waterfall. I cut a little bit here. And then there's a little bit here. Rocks. And then they are. And I'm going to put, I want to do just a little bit of dark here. So I'm going to put a little bit of black because some of these rocks are going to be, I'm going to pull down a little bit, you know, some little striations here for the rocks. Right? I'm not going to do rocks all the way through because I'm going to just have a rounded thing. So we're going to just build some land, and I'm just going to lay down some color for some land. So I'm going to lay down some land here. And I'm using my dark sienna. So I'm laying some land. And so this is kind of like the little river bank, little creek bank, creek bed. And we're going to have all sorts of little things growing there. But now that we've got that down, we can use our same rock things, and we can just put some on top just to give that land a little bit of contrast here. All right, so I'm happy with that. So I'm going to just leave it. And what I'm going to do though is I'm going to give the water a little bit of, because it's kind of laying a little bit flat. So we're going to give it a little bit of, just a little bit of zing, a little bit of bubbliness. So it's just a little. I'm going to do this with the corner of my fan brush. We're just going to put a few splashes there, and then just some splashes here, because this is not really still water, and it's just coming off our canvas here. So there we go. Now, in order for us to build onto this, we have to, hold on, I'm just gonna fix this a little bit. It just looked like our waterfall was coming, so I've just pulled the water here so it's straighter, because it doesn't just come from the sky, right? Okay. When we're going to put all this vegetation down, so what we're going to do is we have to get a dark color. We have dark, then we're going to have dark again, and then we're going to have our green, and then we're going to have a lighter green. So because trees grow in layers, so I'm going to mix some dark, and I have some purple here for the dark, and I have some black, that's dark, and I'm pretty much done with my Prussian blue. I'm not going to use it anymore, so let's just use it up so that we don't waste paint. So all we're doing is we're just mixing a dark. And so here, let's take some sap green too. So any dark colors that you have on your palette that you don't want to, that you're not going to use up, just mix them all up. And you really need a bunch of it, because you really have to saturate your brush with it. So here's all my dark. There you go. So there's your dark. I clean my brush, clean my palette knife. All right, so you still have your 1-inch brush. So you're gonna load it and see how much you're gonna put in it. It's really, really loaded, really, really guppy, and see how it's kind of the consistency of like icing. That's what you want. So what you're gonna do is, you're not gonna just willy-nilly. You're building bushes. There's gonna be a bush is gonna be here. And see, this is gonna go right down to the land. And this is going to be another bush, and you're going to build a tree. There's going to be trees here. These are all going to be trees, and you're just laying the trees down. And I always like these kind of little trees that are close to the water. They're there, and actually, see against that white, it's starting to look green. Some of that sap green that I put in my color, in my dark color, is coming through. And I really want to be careful that I don't paint over this purple stuff that's coming through, because that's really pretty. What's this purple stuff that's coming through the trees? And the blue coming through the trees is very pretty too. Now don't get, I really like the way this lays. So don't just put your stuff down. You're building trees. So you're not just putting patterns of paint down, you're building these trees. So here's one tree right here. Here's another thing. And it's got such a high consistency of like an icing. I'm running out of my green, my mix here, so okay. So it looks kind of like an English countryside. I'm going to put just a little bit with whatever's left on my little brush here. I'm just going to revive a little bit of that stuff that's in the background and give it just a hint so that you can kind of see this, but it's not 100% there. Just a little image there. For the next step, we're going to mix some greens. So we're going to mix a lighter green, a darker green. Sorry, and we have some sap green, so let's mix it over here. That's yellow here. No, more yellow. So all we're doing is we're going to make a few different shades. You can make as many shades as you want. There's really nothing to stop you. So that, and then we've got some here, and I'm going to put just a little bit of yellow here. All right. So we're just going to do the highlights on this. And for this, we're going to use this brush right here. And I'm going to go with the darker green first. With this brush, you pull it, pull, pull, push, push, pull, 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 push, push. So you get that little line. And so we're going to just put all the highlights here. So you're building on top of your trees. You're putting in your little highlights. Don't forget, you're highlighting a tree. So this is a tree right here, and you're highlighting that. You're not just putting paint down. You're building trees. So there's some there. There's a tree right here. And now these would be bushes down here. So we're going to put some bushes right here. Then I'm doing it to this side. See how you're revealing here with the highlights? It's just revealing all the stuff that you put down first, but it's giving your tree some depth. And then we're going to do some right here. This is just over that. All right. You still have some of this mix here. You still have some of this mix, and what we're going to do is we're going to do tree trunks. All right. So we're going to do these tree trunks. We're going to just lay them in solution of these tree trunks where you would think that they would be. I think that you would have some here, here. And you do the tree trunks before you do your final highlights. And so we'll just do some here. So your highlight is going to be the lighter green. And so I'm going to highlight these. Just a little highlight here. Not a lot, because it's dawn, so your trees really are kind of dark, right? So if you want to come to class, you just give me a call. My phone number is 910-262-9728. And you can just call me or text me just to tell me that you're having class. My classes are on the fourth Saturday of the month at Winter Park Baptist Church in Wilmington, North Carolina. Sorry about that. So I've got all the green highlights. I'm just going to do a little bit of a yellow highlight, just a very small amount of it, and don't get crazy with the yellow highlight. Just a little bit, kind of near the ground, to show a little bit, just a little vegetation in between the rocks. I like the yellow because it just kind of brightens things up. But your rocks, I'm just doing just a little bit of greenery on my rocks, and anything else that you might want to do highlight on. And I think that we're done. So this is an easy peasy little painting that you can do, and I just wanted to make sure that you guys knew how to do the gesso, and I really love the depth that the gesso gives these paintings. So if you want to try it, go ahead and do it. Get yourself a canvas and some paintbrushes and give it a shot. If not, come to my class and we'll do this in class, and we will be painting this one on the fourth Saturday of February. Thank you so much for joining me.